Hi everyone, this is my Suzuki Carry 4-wheel drive Difflock model. The model designation is actually DD51T as opposed to DC51T, which is the 2-wheel drive models, just to get full nerd straight away. As I say, it's a 1993 model. It's done 28,000 kilometers from new. I purchased it in March 2018. It's now June 2019 while we're filming this video. And I've done about 5,000 kilometers in it. So it arrived in this country. I'm the first owner in the UK with 23,000 kilometers on it from new, which is amazing. Also amazing is the fantastic 4-wheel drive Difflock sticker and the obviously associated gubbins underneath. That makes it kind of rare in this country, really. Basically, most of the Suzuki Carries and kind of Mazda Scrums and that kind of stuff that come over here are basic 4-speed transmission models, still 4-wheel drive. But this one's is slightly different, so obviously it has a proper locking differential at the back, and that's teamed up with a 6-speed transmission. So it's 5-speed and then an extra low gear. So rather than a kind of 2-stage 4-wheel drive that you get in some of them, where it's 2-wheel drive and then 4-wheel drive high, 4-wheel drive low, this is actually just 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, and then you have that extra low gear to get you through the extra tough stuff. When it was imported, it was fully undersealed and all that kind of jazz. So it's, I mean, it was amazing condition underneath anyway, and obviously is now fully protected because of that. Other than that, I haven't had to do an awful lot to it. When it arrived, or not long after it arrived, the exhaust decided to pretty much fall off. It had holes all the way through it. So I imported another pattern part from Japan, which hopefully you will be able to see in a second. Just there. I also had to buy some new tyres for it. The tyres that it came on had been on the car since 2004, so they were kind of cracked, a bit hard, that kind of thing. So I bought the fantastically named Yokohama Super Diggers to go on their fantastic tyre. They look ace and they're just kind of perfect for this car. It's what it usually comes with. While we're here, you might notice that the rear cross member there is a slightly different colour than the rest of the car. That's because I took it to, if you're familiar with the kind of Staffordshire area, I took it on a little 4-wheel drive sort of green laning. I don't know whether you'd even call it that really. It was a drive round Cannock Chase, which was really, really cool. Surprised a lot of the Defender owners that were there. But frustratingly, I managed to catch the rear cross member on a tree stump while I was doing the event. So again, that was shipped, that's a genuine Suzuki part from Japan, and decided to replace the two rubber bushes that hold the, or the rubber mounts that hold the gearbox and the transfer case as well. Elsewhere, obviously kind of exterior wise, there's a few scuffs and scrapes that you might be able to see on the bed, which, you know, considering its age and considering what it's meant to do, is kind of like par for the course, I would say. Similarly, there's a few little chips and scuffs on the top there, hopefully you can see that. But overall, kind of, you know, just great conditions, especially considering its age. Or just to take you around the front, and so you can see inside. Again, it's very basic because it is the basic type of car, but everything works. Everything's kind of clean and tidy. Yeah, it's just a fantastic little work truck, and with the 4-wheel drive chops as well, absolutely fantastic. So what I'll do now is I think I will chuck you in the passenger seat effectively, and we'll go for a little drive. You see it on some lanes and on some bigger roads. Kind of top speed's about 50 miles an hour or 80 kilometers an hour, as you can see there. Kind of is quite a way around the dial. But yeah, it's a great little runner. Everything works, so let's take it out and see what it looks like and feels like and sounds like on the open road. Okay, welcome to the interior of the Suzuki Carry. Hopefully you're going to be able to hear me through the whole of this. It's not a noisy car, but it's not a quiet car either. As you can imagine, the engine is pretty much underneath us. So we'll give it a go on some kind of smaller lanes at slower speeds, then we'll try and get onto a main road, do a bit of speeding. Speeding? No, not speeding, but speed up a little bit, try and get to the top speed. And then hopefully I'm going to be able to show you the 4-wheel drive system as well. So, let's fire her up. So, with nothing in the bed, as you can probably hear then, it can be a little bit squirrely and tail happy. But as long as you're careful with that, and obviously most of the time you're carrying something in the back, and it's fine. There's no rev counter. It always sounds like it's revving high because it's a 3-cylinder, so it's kind of got that sort of, well, some people say like half a Porsche flat 6 whale, or I don't know, but you know, it kind of sounds a little bit more aggressive maybe than a 4-speed. It's very low geared as well, so as I say, top speed on the 5-speed models is 80 kilometers an hour really, which is about 50 miles an hour. One of the reasons I went for the 5-speed, or the 6-speed I guess if you count the extra low, one of the reasons I went for that over the 4-speed is the 5-speed is essentially the 4-speed with an extra gear, an overdrive gear put on, so they handle, you know, A roads and maybe the odd dual carriageway just that little bit better than the 4-speed. I think it was kind of, when you've got a low geared car, it's just that little bit extra, it's kind of worth it, I think. But it rides really well. It's actually really soft and really softly sprung. It's even better when there's weight in the back, unsurprisingly I guess. It's leaf springs in the back and coil springs in the front. And because you're over the front wheels when it's moving, you kind of get this very sort of like pillowy soft sort of bounce really. It does bounce obviously, but yeah, it's quite a nice ride, it's quite comfortable. The seating position's really upright obviously because you're at the front of the car. I mean, that is the front of the car. But yeah, we've sort of sat in it for an hour and a half, and you know, I don't know, I think I'm about 5'9", 5'10". It's fine, you know, it's not super comfortable, but it's fine, and that's kind of what you expect with this car, I guess. It's got plenty of poke, like I say, for this type of engine and this kind of, I guess, helped by the gearing. It sounds great when you step on it a little bit. It doesn't really go any much faster, but it sounds good. And it can carry up to 1/3 of a ton, so 350 kilos basically. Why I bought one is basically, I can't explain it other than I've always wanted one. I saw one a long time ago, actually. Some of the 2-wheel drive models drifting in Japan in a couple of kind of blog posts and magazines, and just thought that is the coolest thing. Found the 4-wheel drive models, thought they were even cooler. Found the one that it had a Difflock and just thought that is something that I want. I've got a Suzuki Jimny, so I've got a 4-wheel drive anyway, but I wanted a kind of different experience. I kind of wanted to feel what a K-Toro was like in this country anyway, so yeah, basically I just wanted one. And it came in really well actually. We had we just moved house and had to do a lot of renovation work, a lot of tip runs, that kind of thing, and it was just like, it was so good for that. It's so diminutive, you just park it up, it's out of the way, but you know, it carries a lot, and yeah, it's fantastic. It also 4-wheel drives really well, so I'll try and show you that in a bit. But there is another video on my channel as well. I don't know if I can do the linky thing in the corner, I don't know. I'll try and link to that, because that's the kind of chase 4-wheel drive day that I was talking about earlier. It was absolutely amazing. There was kind of a Land Rover owners club there. Pretty much everybody was in a Land Rover of some description, usually lifted or had some kind of modifications. And it did everything that they did, and everyone was pretty gobsmacked actually, in a really friendly way, but I think they thought, you know, that this was going to get stuck at some point, and it was absolutely amazing. So we're just going to get onto this road here, which is a slightly longer road. Longer road? Faster road is what I mean. So you'll be able to hear it and see it at higher speeds. It's a horrible pull-out. Past 30, if you're wondering, and we're now in 4th already, and that is foot to the floor. So as I say, it's just a 660, there's no turbos like most K cars that you've probably heard of, so yeah, it's not the fastest thing on the planet. But this would now be top gear for a 4-speed car. They have identical gearing ratios apart from the 5-speed has another gear. So this would be top speed in a 4-speed, which I'll kind of demonstrate a bit better down here. and that might give you an idea more of the difference and kind of the benefit that I thought in terms of getting a 5-speed car. So this is fourth, that's 40 miles an hour. That's 80 kilometers. But it's not much, but it's just a little different. So now we're doing about 50 miles an hour. As I said, it's not quiet, but I don't think it's overly loud given the type of vehicle it is. A momentum car, so you've got to rev it and you've got to keep your momentum up. But it's quite a fun car to drive actually, which you wouldn't necessarily think looking at it. So yeah, there you go. This is my 1993 Suzuki Carry 4-wheel drive. Unfortunately, it's in 2-wheel drive at the moment, so I'll scoot round and we'll try and find somewhere to just show you the basics of how the 4-wheel drive system works and show it in action. Okay, so let's go through the 4-wheel drive system. So as I said before, this is slightly different to the sort of more common machines of this type that we get in the UK. Most of those are 4-speed, and then they also have a more sort of traditional transfer box setup, so 2 high, 4 high and 4 low. The transfer box on this basically just goes from 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive, and everything else is handled in the gearbox. So unlike the 4-speed, with this being a 6-speed, we've got one below the 4, which is an extra low, and then one above the 4, which is the overdrive 5th. So at the moment it's just as if I've come off tarmac. You know, we're now on loose gravel kind of sandy surface, so we can muck about with this, but it's all set up as if we'd just done 2-wheel drive and come off the pavement. So the first thing you want to do is pull that lever from 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive. That will pop up the 4-wheel drive light. Sometimes, this happens in my Suzuki Jimny as well, you'll find that doesn't pop up straight away, and when you pull off it will light up, or you can rock the car backwards and forwards in gear, and it's almost like everything's just got to lock in first. That also, by my right knee, turns a little light on by the button called axle lock. So what this does is, the axle lock button in conjunction with this 4-wheel drive transfer box lever means that you can drive along, and at any point you can pull this lever, because this setup, I'm doing this sitting here now because the first time you engage 4-wheel drive you have to be stationary. But as long as the axle lock button is activated, you can pull from 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive on the fly as you're driving up to, I think it's about maybe 60 kilometers an hour, something like that. And that just helps in terms of if you're driving somewhere where you know you need 4-wheel drive, but then you'll be driving on tarmac for a little bit and then immediately coming off it and driving on something loose again. That just gives you the flexibility to flip in and out of 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive without having to stop each time and do this kind of stuff. So by going into 4-wheel drive, we've also unlocked extra low. So extra low, if we do first there, then you'll see that you can now push across and go into extra low, and extra low is just a fantastic crawler gear. It really is very slow. As I say, I think even though this is a slightly a less common option, it's a really flexible gearbox because everything's in here. You get the overdrive as well. That's certainly one of the big reasons why I wanted to get it. The other reason is the Difflock, to be fair, which is amazing. That works up to about 25 kilometers an hour. That again is another button just by my right knee, so you can turn that on and turn that off. That locks the rear diff. It also locks it in 2-wheel drive, so sometimes actually you can do a lot off-road with this and just turn that Difflock on and off, and it will scrabble and fine grip. because obviously there's not a huge amount of flex with it being leaf springs at the rear, but that sometimes is enough just to get you where you need to go. If not, you can pull over and do this to get it into four-wheel drive, and then use the stick to go up, backwards and forwards on the fly, as it were. So let's just pull off anyway. So I will go into extra low for this one so you can sort of see how slow it is. So if I just idle along, there we go. So that's now idling in four-wheel drive extra low, so you can kind of get a feeling for how slow that is. That works just like any other gear. It's really weird because you want to pull back into first gear, but obviously that's not right. So when you're at the top, you pull back, it pops out, and you just go into first like that. And now we're in first. And now I've got to get it dirty. But yeah, as you can see, and I can now pull this lever. We're now in two-wheel drive, but I can pull it back again, and we're now in four-wheel drive. And so that's the kind of on-the-fly sort of setup there. Extra lows also, and this is a really good opportunity to show, is amazing for engine braking. So let's put it in extra low again. And as you can see, it doesn't really matter the kind of steepness of the descent that you're going down. I mean, there we go, we're now idling down here in extra low. And it does, I know a lot of the time with cars it feels like you get out and walk faster. I genuinely think you could get out and walk faster. So that's how the four-wheel drive setup works. When you want to get out and back into it properly, you pull over, you can pull the lever, or sorry, push the lever back into two-wheel drive, turn the axle lock off for the button by your right knee, and now you're back into normal two-wheel drive and you can head off on the tarmac. So there you go, that's pretty much everything. You've seen the exterior, you've seen the interior, you've kind of seen how the specifics of this four-wheel drive system work on this model. So yeah, that's my 1993 Suzuki Carry four-wheel drive Difflock. It is awesome. I hope you think so too.